Good morning, Lowbrook and Holy Trinity, and welcome to term 6. I hope you all had a really lovely half term. We are back in full swing, ready to go with a 4 weeks work. And today is going to be my first video for term 6, and we're going to be going over Roman numerals. So right from the beginning and the format of those into doing some activities with them. So if it's that you've got the competency, it's a chance to have a bit of a practice and maybe a challenge towards the end. And if you haven't got it yet, or you think you might have forgotten some of the core facts of doing Roman numerals, this is your chance to have another go. So let's get cracking with it together. You're going to have to excuse my kind of swollen eyes due to a lot of hay fever. I am assuming that some of you are suffering too. Horrible time of year, but we'll get through it together. So anyway, let's go. As you saw, we just had an exploding TNT barrel, and we are going to use our Roman numerals today to try and prevent this explosion with a special Roman numeral code. So let's go into our learning intention for today's lesson. It says, can I understand the value of a Roman numeral? So we are understanding the value, which means the worth of a Roman numeral, so that you understand what each Roman numeral represents. Can we crack the code to stop the TNT barrel exploding? So the code below is written in numerals following a pattern. What's the pattern to crack the code and stop the explosion? Here is my code that I've written using a particular set of Roman numerals. We need to get practicing now to help create our own code. So today you're going to be creating your own code at the end of the lesson to try and stop the TNT barrel. And by doing that, we will save the day and know our Roman numerals. We're looking at Roman numerals. Well, what are they? Like, why are they? How are they used? Here are some examples of Roman numerals being used in everyday life, so you can see why learning them in school is so important. It's useful to know why we learn things. So they are on side of buildings. You might have seen them in New York or maybe in London, and they represent dates, normally when the building was made or someone important. We have Roman numerals after the royal family. In what order they are, the royal family. We have it in sports and teams to represent numbers. Most often used is in clocks as well for Roman numeral for time. We have it in artwork. We have it in books to represent the numbers in a series of books. We have it on coins, and we have it for representing musical notes, and probably lots more I haven't thought of. So really good to actually understand what you're reading when you come across these Roman numerals. So Roman numerals are comprised of 7 core letters. This is the 7 letters of the Roman numeral system. And these are the ones that are really important to remember. So first of all, you've got I, which represents, very easy, 1. It looks like a 1, so that's easy. Then you've got V, which represents 5. X, that represents 10. L, that represents 50, C, that represents 100, like a century, D, that represents 500, and M is 1,000, like a millennial. So these are the 7 letters that you really need to be aware of in order to help you understand the pattern of Roman numerals. So sentence to help remember the order, because as you can see, it's going from low to high. So I came up with I vaccinate X-Men lightly cause they're magical. So slight slang there. I vaccinate X-Men lightly cause they're magical. And that helps you remember the order from smallest to largest, from 1 to 1,000. Let's go over the pattern of a Roman numeral. So as you know, 1 is 1. Feel free to make any notes as we go along. If you've got a piece of paper and pen, you can write some of these things down if you think it will help you. 1 is 1, as I said, represented by an I. So that means that 2 is going to be represented by 2 I's. And it is the same as 1 plus 1 equals 2. So you can see that it all makes sense now. I plus I is 2 I's, or 1 plus 1 is 2. Same for 3. You've got 3 I's because 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Very simple. However, you go down to 4. Is 4 I's together correct? Good. Hopefully some of you said no. And that is because there is a big time rule when it comes to Roman numerals. That being, here in the green box, is you can't have more than 3 of the same numeral in one number. So you can't have, here we've got 4 I's together, and you can't do that. You're only allowed to have 3 of the same numeral in one number, or one representation of a numeral. So that has to be changed. Now, what does it get changed to? If you think you know, you can say it or write it down, please. Good. So some of you hopefully would have written this. So 4 is represented by an I and a V. And the reason for that is because what that is really saying to you is we've got 5, take away 1 is 4. And that's how it's represented. That's how you get around the rule. So it means 1, here's the 1, I, take it off 5, which is V, equals 4. So it's IV. So 4 is actually IV. Okay, and then as you know, as we spoke about in the 7 core letters, 5 is V. Okay, now this rule that I've explained to you, that you're only allowed 3 of the same numeral in every number, is the rule that goes through all of the Roman numerals for endless. This pattern as I've written, this pattern continues endlessly through the numbers. So it's really important to be aware of it. 5 is V, 6 is V1, as in 5 plus 1 is 6. 7 is V11, because it's represented as 5, which is the V, plus 1 equals 7. So same for 8. Now, continuing the pattern that I just told you, and knowing that 10 is an X, what do we think number 9 is? What do you think 9 looks like in the Roman numeral pattern? If X is 10, and we can't write, remember we can't write V1111, we're not allowed. Could you write down or tell me what you think 9 represents? Hopefully you would have written, oh, in capitals, it's got to be in capitals, IX, because it is representative of 10 take away 1, isn't it? Yeah? We're taking 1 off 10, and that equals 9. There you go. And that goes the same as you continue to go up. So if you went to 14, it'd be 1 less than 15. If you went to 19, it's 1 less than 20. Continuously all the way up in 5s numbers. I want to go into another set that are really important. These numbers that are in front of you, and Roman numerals, these are the set. If you know these, you can technically give me a Roman numeral for any number, whether it's 1, 5, 3,000, 19,262. You would be able to give me the Roman numeral if you know these numbers. So you've got the 7 I told you about, from 1 to 1,000. Then you've got the 10s that are being represented, okay? Now, as you know, 110 is an X. So as you probably guessed it, 2 X's equals 20, because 10 plus 10 equals 20, done. And that same rule is applied across every number. However, the ones in orange, as you can see, are slightly different, and that is because when you get to 40, you can't say XX, 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 can you? We're not allowed to do that. We can't do 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. So that means you have to do 50, take off 10. Now we know it says here that 50 is represented by an L. And then you are taking 10 off it to get to 40. So it becomes XL, which is in effect 50 take away 10 equals 40. Same for 90. You can't say more than 3 in one row. So you have to do 100, take off 10. There's your 100. We know that C is 100, and we're taking off 10 again, and that's your 90. And that's it. So you've got your 7 core, 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, and then you've got all of your 10s, a bit like your 10 times table. That's all you need, because when you get to 100, what happens? We start all over again. 101, 102, 102, 3, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, and we go through it again. And all you would do is use these. I'd like you to have a go at putting these core letters in order from smallest to largest, so smallest being I, or in this case, I help you, V. Our sentence prompt that I gave you might help here. Our sentence prompt was here. I vaccinate X-Men lightly, cause dare magical. That might help you, even with these ones. Okay, so pause the video, please, and I'd like you to write down these Roman numerals in order from smallest to largest. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. Here is the correct order from smallest to largest for those core numbers. Okay, we've started with V, 5. It's got 5, 30, 3 X's. 1, 10 less than 50, 40. 50 plus 10, 60. 50 plus 30, 80. C is 100, D is 500, and M is 1,000. So that would be your correct order. If you didn't get any of those right, not a problem. Put a dot and also write what value it should have been. So correct yourself with a purple pen or just a pencil. Our second task is now slightly trickier. I'm going to ask you to write the Roman numeral for these numbers, please. So remember, you need to work out the 10 first and then the unit when you've got 2 digits in a question. And remember the rule of 3. You cannot have more than 3 of the same letter in an answer. I'm just going to go through one with you to make it slightly easier. So 27, I'm going to work out the 21st. I know that 20 is 2 X's because it's 2 lots of 10. And I know that 7 is a 5 and 2 I's. There's 27. So I've worked out the 21st and then I worked out the 7. Right, you've got 16 questions. So get going and pause the video, please. Okay, well done. If you've got through to the end of 16, you gave it a really good go. Here are the answers in orange. I'm not going to go through each one. I'd like you to go down and tick and dot the ones that you got correct and incorrect. Don't worry if you've got any wrong. This is why we're doing the lesson, because you're learning. So please don't panic. All you need to do is see where you went wrong and see if you can realise it and correct it yourself, please, so that you can learn from it. I'm going to go through one here. I'm going to go through this one quickly. Same thing, you should have done 40, which is 10 less than 50, and you should have done VI, which is 46. Okay, it looks complicated, but it's not when you get going. Right, let's move on. And we're going, because we've done tens and units of a Roman numeral up to 100, we are now going to look at over 100, so very exciting. So we are going to go over an example first. I've got here 128. I've got hundreds here, tens, and I've got units. Okay, so you must work out each column at a time. First of all, I had C because 100 is 1C. Then I've got 20, so I've got 2 tens. And then I've got an 8, which is 5 and 3 ones, 8. Told you that you only need the core numbers to be able to do any number you want. 128. So all together, you then get the 3 that you've come up with and you whack it all together, and 128 is CXX V11. Okay, and there's 128. Now let's look at it when the 100 changes. We've got here 398. Again, we are doing the same thing. We are looking at the hundreds first. So we haven't just got 1 300, we've got 3 now, which means I need 3 C's. That's 3 lots of 100, isn't it? So I place value knowledge is so important here. 390. Well, we know that we can't write 90 with lots of X's, so we do 10 less than 100, 90. And then I've got my unit, 8. V plus 3 ones. Write them separately, then write them together. So 398 is CCC XC V111. Okay, and that is your Roman numeral for numbers over 100. Okay, so we are going to now have a go ourselves. You've got 6 questions here of 3-digit numbers. I've also left the example here. I'd like you to do this layout, please. I want you to lay it out separately by its column and then put it together. So you should have 2 things per answer. I'd like you to try these 6 questions, please, on your piece of paper. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to remove my box here with the answers. Please tick or dot what you got and self-correct and see where you went wrong if you did get any wrong. Okay, well done, guys. Right. That was your go at Roman numerals. And if you manage to get at least half of those right for each time, you're doing really, really well. And you're going to use what you've learned today to make your own. Now, I highly recommend that when you are making your own pattern, have this slide up. Okay, so you can pause the video on this slide when you create your own code, because it's really important to have the key numbers in there. But you're going to go away today and you are going to make your own Roman numeral for a family member to crack. So write it in numbers first with a pattern. So normal numbers, whatever pattern you want it to do. And then you'll convert it to Roman numerals for your family member to crack. Your pattern could miss a number, it could go up in 3s, like so for example, one of your times tables. It can even go backwards. Okay, so however you want it, write it in numbers first, convert it to Roman numerals, give it to a family member. Can they convert it back to numbers and crack the code? What was the pattern that you've used? So good luck with that. If you would like to hang around, I'm going to do a challenger. If you feel that you've had enough, you can pause the video now or stop the video now and go and start. But if anyone would like to, please hang around, who would like something a bit more of a challenge. We are going to now, as our challenger, convert these iconic dates into Roman numerals. Now this is tricky, okay? These are 4 really famous dates in history. 1969, 2011, 1066, and 1687. So I would like you, please, to see if you can give me the Roman numerals for these dates. You will need to think about the 7 key numbers, which is why I've left them in the corner for you. Have a go, see how you get on. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back, challengers. Here are the answers to your challenges for the dates. It was very tricky, especially the last two. Here are your answers. So go through them very carefully, especially these two, and make sure that you've got every single one. Again, you would have had to done the same thing. You would have had to, so it gets tricky, and you would have to go through every column to be able to answer that. So for this one here, for example, you had to do 1,687. Okay, if I split it off, there's your 80. So there's your 7, there's your 80. You had 1,000, so there was your 1,000, and there was your 600. So very tricky. So if you got any of those right, really well done, guys. Really, really proud of you. I wonder if anyone picked up on what the famous dates are. Have a think. If you would like to have a bit of a research about what the famous dates are, stop the video now and I won't give you the spoiler. If you would like to know what the dates are, I will tell you. 1066 was the Battle of Hastings. I think a lot of you would have got that one. 2011, not so much history, but it's when Loughborough Academy became an academy. So a very important date for you as Loughborough Academy alumni. 1969 was a very special year. It's when we landed on the moon. And 1687 was when Isaac Newton discovered gravity. So, cool dates.
So there we go. It's over to you for you to start your Roman numeral codes for a member of your family to crack. And do it however you like, whether it's backwards, forwards, scrambling, going through one of your times tables, however you want to do it. Have a go and see if your family member can crack it for you. Have a lovely weekend. Bye, guys.